Alright, today I want to go through a video relatively quickly here. I have a lot to unpack in this video here, so I have been going through stamps like crazy. I'm not going through, but trying to find my missing stamps and finding few in here and there and everywhere. And I've been filling boxes full of stuff like this. So if you're a collector of paper stuff or CDs or any kind of media here, you're going to end up with like rooms full of boxes of this stuff. Now all this stuff will eventually get used, but because, you know, I'm not full of finances, you know, or made of money, some of that stuff will be sitting here for a year before I get a chance to use that exact piece of paper or envelope or whatever. Sometimes I just don't find this stuff by the time I just grab a different piece of paper. It's amazing how when you think you don't have any pens, you go buy a pack of pens and you find out you've got 40 pens laying around here. You know, trying to figure out where your stuff is just like, you know, 10 pairs of scissors or whatever. And I was going through some Hot Wheels cards, but you know, I don't necessarily need this one as much as I like this 1994 Mitsubishi, whatever it is, 300 GT or whatever it is. That's going to go to the donate, clothes or toy donate. I've got about 3 or 4 toys, which I don't have very many. And then last night I was just super bored, so I said, let's go to the bin store, the Goodwill bin store. And it was perfect because I barely even spent $4 for everything and got some more stuff that I don't need but I would like to have. And unfortunately, with every collector, every single collector on all of YouTube, they're buying more stuff that they don't need, but they want it. Maybe the price is really good, maybe they need it for that particular moment, just for that split second, you know, adrenaline rush type of thing. And I found a whole pile of postcards here. Now, these postcards, if I was to go and sell them, they wouldn't sell for a lot because they had to be 100% mint for people to not complain about, hey, you sold me a creased postcard, it's not mint. But I think this is the Smithsonian, I'm not sure. It's some sort of steam-powered engines there. And I forgot what it was. Yeah, I think it's a Smithsonian. Then we got a lot of those old vending machine postcards from the 90s, early 2000s. They're like hot stamps, go-cards. I can't remember the other name of it. But Max, like the Max ones here. And tons of these. Izod one, it's got kind of a semi-inappropriate thing here, but it's for Izod. So isn't that funny? I've covered up something there, but Izod. You would think that the geek clothing there, but no, it's not a geek postcard, that's for sure. Then we got the Pink Panther in his disco gear there, again, kind of crazy. Again, what these advertising, some of them are verging on inappropriate. There were some quite inappropriate ones that I left there. There's another different steam-powered thing there, so that's crazy. Probably 70s era postcard there. And then we have this one here, which is Studio MX 2004, The Professionals. So that's kind of fun, whatever that is, with Flash Professional. Again, it's a go-card postcard, so Y2K era stuff, I guess. Sergio Valente jeans. Well, there is Sergio Valente jeans. I don't know what that is all about, but yeah, funny. I just remember Sergio Valente from the 80s. I don't know if it was still around or not. This one sadly got folded at the bin store, but Polo Jeans Company and Allure on the road to the summer's hottest concerts. So a good crease in there, but again, these cost like barely a penny a piece. Some sort of workshop, something workshop there. Don't know, but got several of those. Don't Mess with Texas. We have this one, it's used, but I grabbed it anyway. Portlanders will know Moonrise over Portland. That's Tom Peterson. It's hard to show, but there's a guy with a crew cut there, and he used to sell appliances and stuff like that. So there's Tom Peterson. Got a restaurant in California somewhere. This is Aunt Kizzy's back porch in Santa Monica, California there. We have another one of these. We have a postcard that I will mail out one of these days. George Roy Bean, Law of the West. Somebody ripped it out of one of those static cling binders and posted it and never got around to sending it, so I will throw some Christmas decals on it and Christmas it off to somebody, and that's what I will do. Judge Roy Bean. Then physics postcards there. That's a very 80s postcard there. So there's that one there. Another one was a retrospective. There was a bunch of art ones, but I grabbed that one. I forget which artist that is, but very dapper looking artist there. He passed away in the 50s, I want to say. This is Edward Sheriff I can't read that. Edward something. I can't read his name. There's too tiny. There's one for Silver Tab. Silver Tab clothing from Levi's. So Silver Tab. And then we have another one here. These are most of them, and I'm sure I had a few more there. But Stunning Looks and Brains 2. It's for American Business, American Express card there on the Max. And these were vending cards back in the day. I couldn't remember if you got them for free or had to pay a quarter or what it was. And people used to sell them in great quantities on eBay for next to nothing. And now they're like a lot of money per card, depending on what subject matter is there. If they got the Spice Girls on it, somebody might ask $20 for that postcard. So that's crazy. One more thing before I get into the mail that came in today. Another crazy thing is, if you remember the TV show iCarly, it's one of those kind of forgotten, semi-forgotten Nickelodeon creepy shows. I can't think of the actresses' names on there, but they had some sort of web show or something like that, and it was on Nickelodeon, or I remember, podcast web show type thing, and of course Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider and all that icky stuff there. But Topps came out with a trading card set. I don't know how I have it in the stuff here, but I wanted to see if I could find it here for you. I had it set up earlier. It was in one of these. I must have exited out of it, but we'll go to COMC here and I'll show you the iCarly cards here. And so iCarly, and I watched some of it on TV way back in the day. But let's just show you what I'm talking about here. So the reason why I'm mentioning it is it's a weird story because I essentially went to like a Walmart or Target. I couldn't remember where I was at. And there was a bunch of them at the register. And I said, this is a kid show. I don't really need any of this kind of stuff there. But not realizing how significant or / insignificant. It was maybe a test issue. But I said, if I want to have some money, I'll get some at another time. And I didn't. And there's like a base card here on COMC. But this is not out of line. People are asking $35 and up, $35 to $50 per base card. The normal 2009 Topps base card is only like a few cents for anything else. So if you didn't know, iCarly is a gazillion dollars. I have only one or two base cards, and not long ago they were only $1 a card. $1 a card. And then go to eBay and type in iCarly Topps, and you'll find cards that are hundreds of dollars. And packs are like $50 a pack, and it's just absolutely bananas. So I don't know what happened, but one of the creepy things about this thing, and the whole Dan Schneider thing and everything, I don't like to get into it, because be very careful around subjects of this particular nature, is that they had wardrobe cards. And somebody brought this attention to me because they pulled a Hannah Montana trading card that had a relic of some clothing that the kid wore, Miley Cyrus wore on Hannah Montana. So that's creepy, kids' clothes or something like that. So that was a very strange card for him to grab. And there's a lot of people that want that kind of stuff, for their childhood or whatever reasons. And so it was just like I said, there were memorabilia cards. If we go back one page here, and I can show you here, there's a memorabilia card. This is one of the cheaper ones here, but a piece of clothing worn by Sam, just a tiny little piece there, and that's $160, down from $399.94. And $399, I remember when these things were like $15, $20, but whatever cards I tried to get just to have just a couple of weird examples for my collection back in the day, I got outbid by lots of money. I don't know how much, but got outbid. This card is on eBay, I think, for like $500. I don't remember if it's graded or not. But weird, the Topps came without a product, and then as soon as it's on the shelves, it disappeared. Couldn't find it anymore. Super weird. Now, we're already at 9 minutes and talked about absolutely nothing here. So everybody had a great time record store day. Everybody just said, boo, record store day. And the general consensus, except for one video, the guy said it was a scam. And I disagreed with 99% of everything in that video. I said, you know what? This is how it goes. I don't know if I responded to that particular video. I said, look, there's people that live out in the middle of nowhere. There's people who want to be excited for new product, regardless if it's a scam or not. There's people that become, a lifelong vendors to that particular store. People go to record store day and maybe don't buy the releases there, and they buy other things that are on sale. It just brings awareness to the whole record collecting genre. And if people shut up about it, then there's no record collecting, period. Like I said, said, you take the good with the bad, regardless of how much you hate Record Store Day in itself. There's a ton of good that comes out of it, and a lot of the people that are just laying low, that are nice people, they come out and said, okay, I wanna do some more nice and more nice and more nice, and all I saw was positive videos, except for one or two of people being bozos. So my earlier video that gained absolutely zero attention, I said you need to Record Store Day without Record Store Daying. So I stayed home and bought nothing except for one record, which we will open right now. This was something like $4 and some loose change plus shipping, so it came out to like $9.11. Came in a beautiful box, came with a sticker from the record store that sold it to me on eBay. So this is from Siren Records of Monterey, California, 527 Ramona Avenue, Monterey, California, and the website is Siren something at Monterey.com. I can't read that. Simon, I don't know, it looks like Oscar Demont or something. Demont or Monterey. Oscar. Anyway, I can't read that. Very, very tiny. But cool. I always love stickers, so that'll go in my collection. It'll probably stay with this record here. And this is none other than a Record Store Day release from 2018, and was panned by the critics because it was a re-release or reissue, but I don't care. And it's a UK issue, so that's something. So I guess it's technically an import here. And this is Fawlty Towers, Second Sitting. Fawlty Tower Second Sitting. Now it's a picture disc with Basil Fawlty kicking Manuel. Manuel, you idiot! Go back to Barcelona. I see, Mr. Fawlty. Mr. Fawlty. I understand. I don't know. And then you've got Basil and Sybil right there. Oh no, that's Sybil. And then I forgot what her name was. Penny, maybe? I don't really remember. But she was a secretary that was always, out to lunch. Well, they were all out to lunch. And he was always getting the blame regardless if it was his fault or not. And then the guy from Barcelona, he passed away Andrew Sachs. I think I have his autograph, which may or may not really be his autograph. I don't know. It looks like it could have been an in-person event. It's really squiggly. But he was not from Barcelona. He was from England, I believe. I think so. But I will open this here, and it's got the hype sticker, which we love to save. But I want to open this. It doesn't really display well in the mylar, or the whatever you call it, the sleeve there. I forget the name for that particular sleeve there. And we will just use a trusty MacGyver pocket knife here. And if I ruin the plastic here, it's not the end of the world. Usually I use my fingernail for that, but I think my fingernails are not going to work today. And again, be very careful because you get like right down there, and any imperfections in the old cardboard here, you get cutting off to the side there. And you got to be mindful of any inner sleeves or any kind of. But I want to say that this was issued as a comedy record in the 70s or early 80s, and I don't know if they were picture discs back then, but there's another one. I don't know how many of these are out there for the Record Store Day releases here, but there is a sleeve, and a lot of people, it's like, oh, cheap cover, all wrinkled, but it wasn't even $10. That's the crazy thing is, it was somebody sitting in somebody's inventory since 2018, and nobody had a mind to even grab it. And I just said, you know what, let's just get it. Because sadly, there's a lot of abandoned records on the internet. Now, this should have some episodes here. We'll show you the front first, again, like I said, without the cover there. And I think that's really cool. So theoretically, if somebody hated this to the max, they could turn it into a clock. They could do whatever they wanted with it. They could, do absolutely anything that they wanted. They could, frame it or anything. So that's the joy of getting records that are necessarily not people's favorite or playable. If I was able to find this somewhere else, there's still people that are asking the original $23 or $24 for this. But yeah, the Rat and the Builders. Now, I don't have it right now, and I don't know if I can get to it. I did buy from a UK company, a reputable UK company. It came like all in gold foil, but an autograph of John Cleese. And I really had wished I'd picked the other one where he was giving the car a thrashing. I liked that one. There was like 3 different ones. I didn't have all the money to buy all 3, but I kind of saved up, and there's something on the record there. Maybe that just, it's meant to look like it's kind of loved, so these are actually part of the design there. So there are the 3 3 or 4 people in question there. I think it's really cool to have that, and it's like a BBC record there. I don't know who else put it out. Denon? I don't know, or I can't read that, what it says there. But I think it's a fun little thing there. And again, now I will keep this together, and I will get a special sleeve for this. One of these days I need to buy some record sleeves, because mine are just kind of, I hope my record store close to me, which will be open one of these days, has some for me. I don't want to have to go into town for those. But very happy there. It slipped around there. But I think that was just a wise choice, and a very, because I love that. Trying to get any kind of collectible that associated with a show is going to be at least $10 or more, at the very least. Again, that's been sitting somewhere for like $4 or $5, brand new, factory sealed, and if my record store had it, it would not be $4 or $5. Again, check your record stores, check Discogs. This was an eBay purchase. Check eBay. Lots of relatively brand new records for next to nothing you did not even know existed. I did a video a while back ago. I also was listening to 105.5 The Moon, and I found a song that I want to get. It was done by a Gang of Four, but the Idols redid that song, IDLES, and I was like, oh great, it's on a compilation vinyl record there, but that might be okay. And these compilations, like kind of these punk music compilations or what have you, they're usually fairly affordable. There was a Kathleen Edwards one that I saw, The Cheapest Key, but again, that song is on a compilation for under $10 or so, but getting that one on the original vinyl is very expensive, like $75 expensive or more. So again, there's a lot of opportunities out there for us that we are not taking advantage of. Again, people do not shop in the bargain basement. I'm sure nobody even cares that I got a Faulty Towers record, but it was something that my family watched back in the 70s. It was, virtually, it was more or less kid friendly. There was a few naughty things going on there, but I just loved it. I still love it to this day. John Cleese is a national, for wherever country he's living in. He's Scottish treasure or whatever. Scottish treasure! He's a Scottish treasure! No, they don't speak like that in Scotland. So, and my dad lived in Scotland, the land of Scots. Anyway, so 17-minute video. I am just happy to get a vinyl record. It just absolutely pains me to not be able to get any vinyl records in my particular area, whether the stores have weird hours, they're closed, or, and the last thing I'll finish up here, one of my thrift stores just down the road here got Shaun Cassidy and one of his counterparts. I can't think of his name right now, but another Shaun Cassidy-esque, a bunch of that stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the stuff that used to be $1 a piece. Now it's still $1, but I don't see that anymore. So I might have to ring up the bill and get some weird Shaun Cassidy albums and the other lightweights of the late 70s, early 80s. So that is the only records I have for you. I'm very tickled to death to get that. That was my record store day experience, and I got a free bonus sticker for that. I will treasure that sticker. I'll put that with the I was going to say Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but that's my Holy Grail for the week, and thank you for watching.
Just when you're... Not pigs, pigeons! Pigeon! Like you're English! Quiet, piffle, pig, pigeon! Pigeon!